So for people that do not know who I am, I'm Shaheen Gadir. I am one of the partners at Southern California Reproductive Center. I did not bring slides, and I'm not going to teach you about molecular biology and what happens with embryos and cells, because I know that you guys already know all those things and remember that from college. We'll show that to you individually later. I did want to start by letting everyone know some things, important things about our practice. SCRC has been around for over 25.5 years. We have the largest IVF lab on the west coast of the United States with one of the highest success rates that the Society of Assisted Reproductive Technologies has our statistics, and it's out there for the public to assess. We have hit success rates using egg donor and surrogates to be over 80%. One of the most important things that I noticed today is that there is a lot for you guys to do when you walk into that room. I put myself in your shoes for a second, it's very overwhelming. Do we go to a surrogacy agency? Do we go to the egg donor agency? Do we go to a lawyer first? Do we go to a doctor first? I'm going to give you my perspective, and I think it's pretty spot on. Last year we did 1,600 cases, and I'd have to say about 15 to 20% of that were surrogacy and egg donor cases that we did very well with. When someone comes to our clinic, every single thing from the first step to the last step is going to be done under our help and with our control and helping you guys during that process. So the first thing is a consultation where we go over all of your goals from this process, knowing exactly what you want, knowing that your goal is twins and an embryo from both partners, and being realistic about success rates and everything else that could happen. The next step after that would be to evaluate both men or one man to make sure that everyone is healthy, and if there's any issues or anything that needs to be improved upon, we help you with that. Not everyone has perfect sperm. And then from there we start the journey. So the journey, after you guys are okay and everything's ready to go forward, that generally involves one visit on your part to our office. Now, if you live local and you want to come in for multiple visits, there are other opportunities that would be nice for you to have to come in, but you don't have to. So if you are coming from abroad, literally one visit to our office can take care of every single thing that needs to be done. We do embryo transfers, and sometimes intended parents are on FaceTime or they fly in, whatever they want. We have our own, I think something that's very, very exclusive to us is that we do have our own egg donor agency, but it's only for our own patients. So anyone who's coming in to see us at SCRC has access to the 100 and 120, it goes up and down depending on who's active and who's donating, donors. If we don't have someone on there that fits your needs, the next thing we do is that we have the director of our egg donor agency, who is Tiffany, and at our booth, she will start looking for someone that kind of tries to meet those needs. And if we still don't find someone, we have someone in our practice that then starts to do a search around the country, trying to find who you're looking for. And we use a lot of agencies that we absolutely love, and there are a lot of agencies we absolutely do not like to work with and have had situations that didn't go well with, so they kind of go off of our list. Once we get the donor, she comes in, I examine and do all of the FDA required testing. Psychological testing is done by a psychologist, and then I call you guys and I tell you the honest truth of what I thought of the donor. I think that's probably the most important part in this entire process is your donor. Someone who's in good health, someone who's genetically tested to make sure it does not carry any diseases that you may carry or disorders. These are not diseases that you're going to have or the donor will have, but if two people do carry the same disorder, that could be a problem and the child could be affected. From there, if we're all clear and the donor looks great, she begins the entire IVF process. And as she goes through the process, we keep you in the loop. I do my absolute best, and I call every single person. If I get a message on my desk, I don't leave until I've called every single person back that day. And we have an entire division, which is one of the largest third-party divisions in the country. They are dedicated only and only to helping our patients using egg donors, sperm donors, or surrogates. So if you don't have one of those, you're using our regular nursing teams. If you're using anyone in that team, that's who you're going to be using during that process. So as the donors go through, we make embryos, our IVF lab comes into play, and that's an incredibly important process here. Some of you guys already heard me say this, but all the doctors at UCLA and all the doctors at Cedars, along with about 29 other fertility specialists in the Southern California area, bring their IVF cases to our IVF lab, do the cases there, and we make their embryos and we do everything for their patients, and then when their patients are ready, they come and do the transfers in our office as well. So we're very proud of the fact that the IVF Lab is run so incredibly well, and we have, I think right now, 14 embryologists. Our embryology director, we recruited from one of the largest centers in New York City, and he was very happy to move to LA, and he's not going anywhere because he married one of our doctors, and now neither of them are going anywhere. So we have a great team in the lab. We have also some specialized equipment that most places don't have, like an embryoscope. It's a special incubator that takes 1,000 pictures a day as your embryo grows, and for 5 to 7 days, the embryo never has to be removed from the incubator, so it doesn't get exposed to light, to air, to movement. And as of the end of 2018, studies showed that embryos growing in an incubator, such as the embryoscope, have higher success rates and implantation rates. The machine costs a few $100,000, so we're very lucky that we have access to things like that at SCRC, but it's available to all of our patients who want to use them. And then we plan all of our embryo transfers under frozen embryo environment. The benefits of that is that we allow the embryo to have genetic testing done. 99% of our patients do genetic testing on embryos. I just don't see any reason why someone would do this entire process and then not do the most important thing, which is what you want is a healthy outcome, not just an implantation. So we do the genetic testing on blastocysts and we freeze them, and all of your genetically normal embryos are then saved for you for either future pregnancies, or if God forbid it doesn't take the first time to do the second one. We do not have a policy of unlimited embryo transfers. We don't need to. Our success rates, as I said, are in the mid 80%, and to be very honest, I think that would be a big turnoff for me when looking for a clinic. If someone's like, oh, unlimited numbers of transfers, that's just something that could be very concerning in terms of looking for a clinic. Once we have the embryos ready, we need to find a surrogate. We usually start this whole process simultaneously. I think you have a huge benefit of picking a clinic first that has access to a lot of surrogacy agencies first for a couple reasons. If you already are with a surrogacy agency, fantastic. We're open to working with anyone. But when you tell us kind of what you're looking for in a surrogate, and we get our team out there looking at all the agencies across the country that we actually like to work with, and we present you with different choices, you get to pick not only from one agency, but from many agencies. And if something goes wrong with the first choice you had and it doesn't go perfect, we have other agencies we can pick to. You haven't signed, you haven't done anything, and you're not committed to using only one agency, so you have other options. And again, I believe that when our team is looking for a surrogate, they know exactly what to be looking for. It's a little different than when the layperson is looking for it. So I think the combination of being able to present you with that information that gets you really key information from our staff, and then what you really want, can kind of find you the surrogate the best. The other thing is that when we have access to a lot of different agencies out there, there has not been a time recently that we've had to wait more than 2 months to find a surrogate. And I have worked with many agencies where I had couples that waited up to 1 year to be matched with someone, and I just don't think you need to. And I think by tying yourself down to an agency that's kind of has an incredibly long wait like that, you're getting the short end of the stick. So I think having your fertility clinic help you with that and trying to get you access to different surrogacy agencies is also really important. And then goes the transfer, and then when there's a pregnancy, we kind of monitor all the surrogates through their entire first trimester, no matter where in the country they're located. And after that, we help them with the process of either going back to their regular OBGYN or continuing, and we helping them find an OBGYN that's going to continue their care. I really wanted to leave some time for questions because I think that really brings up things that are important to the audience and not necessarily only things that I want to talk about. So if there are, and I'm kind of keeping track of time here, but thank you. Are there any questions? Yes, I saw a question right there. I'm so sorry, can you repeat that?
Is it more economical or the less costly going through your company instead of agency?
It's a really good question. I think that you have more options. I don't know if it's more economical, but there's a situation there. If you told us that you had a certain criteria in terms of economics that you needed to be in using the agency, we can then look at a lot of different ones. If you've tied yourself into an agency yourself, whether it's the most expensive or the cheapest one out there, you're kind of locked in. So if you don't get what you want, that deposit that you paid is usually non-refundable, non-reversible, and you're sucked in there and that's it. So in terms of economics, this is very difficult to say, but I don't think that's the #1 way to pick an agency. I think sometimes when picking, like just looking straight at the cost and picking the lowest one out there, you may be getting not maybe the best of care. So I think it's important to look at it. One of the very important things is that we have special counselors in our office that work with financing. So many of our patients who come in, heterosexual, gay couples, anyone who comes in, they need help with this. This is a very costly process. So we are able to go ahead and help you with this entire financing option as well. We have a CFO that's been unbelievable for our practice and has opened doors and made different negotiations with different lending arms from banks and financial institutions to help people get all the financing they need and be totally set before moving forward. Was there any other questions? Yes?
Are you basically going like with a fresh sort of cycle with your eggs, like in which your donor?
Yes, the donors that we're talking about are all fresh donors. So they're not like 6 packs of eggs frozen from previous times, no. So we have a list of about 100 to 150, 140 different donors. When you select one, either she's been pre-tested, and you can see like AMH levels and hormone levels. AMH is a hormone that comes from the eggs in the body. If the AMH level is low, this person is not going to have a lot of eggs and may not be a good idea to use, especially for 2 guys that need to split that up. So these are testing the things that we do on a donor beforehand. So we are able to kind of tell you if they're good, but they're always fresh. So when she goes through a cycle, if she makes 33 eggs, those 33 eggs go to you guys. And we don't share them with anyone else, and whatever embryos you make and whatever genetically normal embryos end up at the end of this case is all for you to keep for the rest of your life trying to make your family. There was a question back there.
Yes, you guys work with military pricing?
We do, and I'm licensed and I work with the VA hospital as well, and I'm really happy to say they give 6 cycles of IVF for free, but there's a big but. They're not there yet with egg donors. So for heterosexual couples, they give 6 IVF cycles. I'm very encouraged that they're going to make some changes, but we personally have discounting, and also we also work with a lot of the pharmaceutical companies that give a lot of discounts for military. Did I see some other hand go up somewhere? How are we doing on time? Yes, sure. So most of the egg donors that come from Bright Expectations and also from the other agencies that we work with are between the age of 20 and 29. Now, if you had a friend who's like 32 and was going to donate to you and is okay to do all of the testing for being a known donor and all of the legal paperwork that is involved in what she needs to do, and you really want to use it, and the person does the testing and her AMH levels are great and she's fertile and looking good, we are more than happy to welcome her in.
So you say 2029, that's for in-house, or that's including other agencies?
Most of the agencies that we work with are some of the most reputable ones in the country, and they have also similar guidelines. Most donors are not over the age of 30. But again, I don't have an issue using a donor that is over 30 if her AMH levels and everything else is still very good. And there are some people between 20 and 29 that we wouldn't recommend, because when we do their testing, they're not that fertile and they don't have a lot of reserve of eggs, and that's the last thing I want to do with you, to end up with like 1 or 2 embryos only. Guys, for anyone who is here at this conference, if they wanted to stop by our booth, Tracy is the Director of Marketing at SCRC. You can sign up, and if you haven't gotten your little voucher for a free consultation, which we do by phone, Skype, or in person, you're more than welcome to. And also, if you're ever in the LA area, it entitles you to free semen analysis for the couple. We wish you guys a lot of luck. If I can ever be a resource to just give you advice or any kind of help at all, by all means reach out to us, and if we can be the person to make this dream happen for you, we are happy to do so. Good luck, everybody.